Good afternoon, everyone. It's 4 p.m., 4 or 5 p.m. in Ghana, and I believe it's 12:05 also in America. And I'd like to welcome you all to Threat Intelligence Seminar, TIS for short. This seminar is actually organized by a South Free group of companies. And this seminar is actually an important thing that we all come together to learn more about the digital infrastructure, the digital world, cybersecurity industry, and other tools and software that are being used to actually maintain and secure digital systems and infrastructure across the world. Cybersecurity is an important thing, and I think it's also a collective effort where all of us must actually come together. You see, at the end of the day, it boils down to human error. So if we are not aware of a few things that we need to know with regards to cybersecurity, you might actually find ourselves wanting, and then um there's a saying, the lack of knowledge my people perish. So if you don't have much knowledge about things in cybersecurity, hackers, cyber criminals may actually use a few tricks to actually, trick you into actually revealing sensitive information. So, and I'd like to continue that, our session is actually breaking into two. So we have our first session, which is our video training. Our second session is a presentation session where we get to learn more about cybersecurity. So today, I'll actually bring up our videos. So we are jumping into our first session, which is our video session where we play the video 2 times. The video is also an educative video about cybersecurity. So I play the video 2 times. When we are done with the video, then we will actually look at the presentation session where today we'll be treating data encryption, the basis of data encryption. So kindly hold on, watch, enjoy the video, and when we are done, we'll come back and discuss a few things.
Ningyo, Episode 701, Bad Robot. Security topic, 2FA Bots, starring Joey Lawrence as Eric. Security experts are seeing a massive increase in crimeware services available on the dark web. One example involves a 2FA bot, which intercepts two-factor authentication codes, allowing hackers to log into a victim's sensitive websites such as banking and investment accounts, social media, and retirement platforms. A financial news show covers the New York Stock Exchange opening bell.
Technology, energy, and other key sectors all responding to encouraging news out of China. Okay, we're kicking off the trading day with one of the hottest stars in the alternate energy vehicle market, and that's right, Aaron Stark.
An insert shows Aaron Stark on the stock exchange balcony.
Congratulations, Aaron, on your company Hydrogen, about to be the biggest IPO in history.
Thanks, Jen. We are all very happy to be here.
It's about that time. Let's do this!
A graphic shows Aaron's company plummets 40%.
Whoa! I assure you, this wasn't the start Hydrogen was hoping for. That's what? A loss of over 400 billion? Aaron, any comments? Aaron, anything you'd like to say? What's that? Okay. I'm learning from our sources that, Aaron, apparently you tweeted just before the opening that you were going to sell $150 billion worth of Hydrogen shares your first day as a public company. Is that correct?
What? No, I'm restricted from doing that.
Then why would you tweet it?
I wouldn't.
Exterior, Wall Street.
You're my CISO. Any idea how what is clearly a fraudulent tweet?
The only explanation is someone hacked into your account.
Twitter did contact me this morning saying they noticed suspicious activity on my account. They called and there was an automated voice on the other end saying,
"This is Twitter customer support. We've noticed suspicious activity on your account. Please enter the 2FA code from your authenticator to verify your identity."
Aaron inputs the 2FA code.
That wasn't Twitter who contacted you. That was a 2FA bot. See, there's been a huge jump in crimeware services available to hackers on the dark web, including 2FA bots. Here's how they work. Hackers obtain a victim's username and password, usually by purchasing them on the dark web. Once the hacker has the target's credentials, as well as their phone number, they simply input them into the bot, then choose a company to mimic, usually a bank or credit card, crypto wallet, or, as in your case, social media platform.
Then the bot calls the target and tricks them into entering their 2FA code into their phone just like I did.
That's right. Now keep in mind this can also be done using one-time passwords, also known as OTPs, which are sent through text messages. Now this was a clever targeted attack, but with the automation element of the 2FA bot, it wasn't hard to pull off at all.
I should have known better than to provide sensitive information to an unverified source. My gut told me to hang up and contact Twitter to confirm, but I ignored that instinct. So what should I do now? Actually, don't answer that.
Interior, Stock Exchange balcony.
I would like everyone's attention, please. My Twitter account has been hacked. I am not selling 150 billion in shares. In this for the long game. That tweet was sent by a hacker, not me. In fact, I want to place an order right now to buy 150 billion in shares. Any traders want to execute that order?
Teachable takeaways. Hackers use 2FA bots to circumvent a victim's multi-factor authentication and are targeting bank accounts, trading platforms, crypto wallets, and social media. If you receive a phone call or a text message asking for information such as your 2FA or OTP code, never provide it. Always reach out to the source yourself. Because SMS-based OTPs are easier for hackers to circumvent, 2FA using an app-based code generator should be used whenever possible. Ningyo, Episode 701, Bad Robot. Security topic, 2FA bots. Starring Joey Lawrence as Aaron Stark. Security experts are seeing a massive increase in crimeware services available on the dark web. One example involves a 2FA bot, which intercepts two-factor authentication codes, allowing hackers to log into a victim-sensitive websites such as banking and investment accounts, social media, and retirement platforms. A financial news show covers the New York Stock Exchange opening bell.
Technology, energy, and other key sectors all responding to encouraging news out of China. Okay, we're kicking off the trading day with one of the hottest stars in the alternate energy vehicle market, and that is... That's right, Aaron Stark!
An insert shows Aaron Stark on the stock exchange balcony.
Congratulations, Aaron, on your company Hydrogen, about to be the biggest IPO in history.
Thanks, Jen. We are all very happy to be here.
It's about that time. Let's do this!
A graphic shows Aaron's company plummets 40%.
Whoa! I assure you, this wasn't the start Hydrogen was hoping for. That's what? A loss of over 400 billion? Aaron, any comments? Aaron, anything you'd like to say? What's that? Okay. I'm learning from our sources that Aaron, apparently you tweeted just before the opening that you were going to sell $150 billion worth of Hydrogen shares your first day as a public company. Is that correct?
What? No, I'm restricted from doing that.
Then why would you tweet it?
I wouldn't.
Exterior, Wall Street.
You're my CISO. Any idea how what is clearly a fraudulent tweet got sent?
The only explanation is someone hacked into your account.
Twitter did contact me this morning saying they noticed suspicious activity on my account. They called and there was an automated voice on the other end saying,
This is Twitter customer support. We've noticed suspicious activity on your account. Please enter the 2FA code from your authenticator to verify your identity.
Aaron inputs the 2FA code.
That wasn't Twitter who contacted you. That was a 2FA bot. See, there's been a huge jump in crimeware services available to hackers on the dark web, including 2FA bots. Here's how they work. Hackers obtain a victim's username and password, usually by purchasing them on the dark web. Once the hacker has the target's credentials, as well as their phone number, they simply input them into the bot, then choose a company to mimic, usually a bank or credit card, crypto wallet, or, as in your case, social media platform.
Then the bot calls the target and tricks them into entering their 2FA code into their phone just like I did.
That's right. Now keep in mind this can also be done using one-time passwords, also known as OTPs, which are sent through text messages. Now this was a clever, targeted attack, but with the automation element of the 2FA bot, it wasn't hard to pull off at all.
I should have known better than to provide sensitive information to an unverified source. My gut told me to hang up and contact Twitter to confirm, but I ignored that instinct. So what should I do now? Actually, don't answer that.
Interior, stock exchange balcony.
I would like everyone's attention, please. My Twitter account has been hacked. I am not selling 150 billion in shares. I am in this for the long game. That tweet was sent by a hacker, not me. In fact, I want to place an order right now to buy 150 billion in shares. Any traders want to execute that order?
Teachable takeaways. Hackers use 2FA bots to circumvent a victim's multi-factor authentication and are targeting bank accounts, trading platforms, crypto wallets, and social media. If you receive a phone call or a text message asking for information such as your 2FA or OTP code, never provide it. always reach out to the source yourself. Because SMS-based OTPs are easier for hackers to circumvent, 2FA using an app-based code generator should be used whenever possible.
All right, so welcome back from the video. So I think we've learned a thing or two from the video. Unfortunately, we can no longer answer questions regarding the video, but then I believe that one way or another, we've actually learned something. A few takeaways is the fact that when somebody calls you and asks you to actually provide your OTP or provide your verification code, be cautious of that information you give out, because companies, social media applications, these organizations won't actually call you to actually ask you for this information. So we must actually be cautious about these things that we do. All right, so that'll be the end of our video training session where we actually watch this video. So I'll actually proceed to what we have for today, which is data encryption. We are looking at data encryption. All right. So I'll share my screen, and then we can look at data encryption. So if you are joining us on social media, joining us on LinkedIn, I want to actually say that this is Threat Intelligence Seminar organized by South Africa group of companies. This is mainly about cybersecurity. So we are here to learn about cyber security. So today, our topic for today is data encryption, and that's what we'll be treating. So if you've heard about data encryption, you've heard about encryption, you're actually interested in cybersecurity, just stay along. By the time I'm done, you can actually ask your questions, and then anything that you want to find out about cybersecurity, I'll be here to actually guide you and explain a few things to you. So all right, so today we're looking at data encryption. We are probably learning, or we've actually heard the term before. We are going to delve deeper into a few things. So by the end of this presentation, you get to know what data encryption is, the two main types of data encryption, and other methods like data certificate and hashing. So we already know how global, or how the digital space is actually popular right now. Look at let me use the US election for example, which actually concluded today. Many of this ballots papers are actually counted digitally using a counting machine. Now, cybersecurity is one way it's important there, because if the measures and the security are not strong, maybe a hacker or a group of cyber criminals, or it can actually be one party, will try to change the result, because it is the machine which is counting these ballot papers. So if their cyber security services are not strong, it means that people can actually change or mess around these things in the election. And what about if this particular result is being transmitted to, let's say, the coalition center or the counting center in the state? All these things are important, because one way or another, this counting machine will count it at the local county. After counting it, this machine will actually transfer the information to, let's say, the coalition centers. Now, what if that cybersecurity is also not strong? You know, sending this type of information out there actually requires some form of encryption, because all these data, sending it to the coalition centers, must actually be encrypted. So you've actually heard encryption before, and it is actually important because, you know, we are trying to make it in a way that that particular data which is being sent to the coalition center can't be read. Nobody else can actually see what is being sent, even if a person is able to actually intercept, you know, this message, this result. How will the person be able to actually read it, to find out, you know? So that is what data encryption is about. So data encryption is mostly about protecting data. How do we protect this data? We protect this data by actually making it in a way that, you know, people can't read it, or people can't actually decipher what the message is about. So whether the data is at rest, whether this data is in use, or whether this data is encrypted, encryption is actually important because it actually protects, you know, information from unauthorized access and potential breaches. So that is what we'll be looking at now. When we talk about data encryption, we actually mean that we protect data by changing it or encoding it in a way that it can only be decrypted or accessed by an individual who holds the correct encryption key. So data encryption is more like putting a password on the file, but here the password is stronger, the password is lengthier, and you are putting it on a file, you are putting it on a system that whoever wants to actually read this data, whoever wants to actually access or use this information, must be able to actually open this file. And for you to open this file, it means that you have the key or the password. So that particular key that is actually used to actually lock or make the file unreadable, that key, or probably a similar key, is actually used to actually you know, unencrypt or decrypt, you know, this data. So it means that if you don't have the key, it means you don't have the permission, right? It's simple like that. If you don't have the key, it means you don't have the permission to actually to read this data. Because if you try actually reading this data will come in a form of gibberish. Like, there's no way that you'll be able to understand this data because you don't have access to that. If you had access to the key, probably you'll be able to actually decrypt the message and read the message. Right? So encryption can be applied to documents, files, messages, or any other form of communication over a network. So how do encryption work? So I have this example here whereby, you know, if a lady here is trying to actually break up with her boyfriend. All right, so the original data, the original text, or the original information is what is called plain text. Now, the sender here, which is the girlfriend, actually is trying to tell the boyfriend that I actually accidentally saw your web browser history. You and I are done. So that is the message. Now, this particular girlfriend wants to actually send this message to his boyfriend and want to actually encrypt it. So this raw data, this data that can be read, is what is known as plain text. Now, this particular sender adds a key. With the key, or let's say the password, with the key, this person actually encrypts the data. Now, once you encrypt the data, that particular data is called a ciphertext because you can't actually read it. It's gibberish. It's nonsense because you can't be able to read it. It has actually transformed that message, I accidentally saw your web browser history, to a form of gibberish with an encryption key. Now, that boy will actually receive this gibberish. Right now, the boyfriend will receive this gibberish, and the boyfriend won't be able to read it if he doesn't actually have the key. Right, so the boyfriend will actually use the key to decrypt this ciphertext and transfer it or convert it into a plain text. And after conversion, he'll now have access to read it. Now, bear in mind here that the message was purposely for the receiver, which is the boyfriend. So the person actually will give the key, let's say, to the boyfriend, or the boyfriend will have another pair to actually read this message. Understand? So if because the sender didn't actually want anybody else to read this information, he wants only the authorized person. The authorized person here is the boyfriend with the receiver. So he actually encrypted it. So even if you actually take the phone, or even if at that time the message was coming, maybe it was actually with a friend or a brother, the brother can't be able to read it. What the person can actually do is you tell the owner you've received a message and it's actually gibberish. I can read it. But then the receiver will actually know what to do, because the receiver will actually use the key to try and convert it back into a readable format. So that is encryption, and that is how encryption actually works. Now, there are two main types of data encryption that is actually common or popular. We have the symmetric and the asymmetric. So these are two types of encryption out there that are actually mostly used to encrypt data, or systems, or other forms of communication. So we will look into the two types and look at the difference. Okay, so the first one we have here is symmetric data encryption. So this type of encryption actually uses one key. So it's actually called a secret key algorithm, or a shared key encryption. Now, with this type of data encryption, the receiver, like the boyfriend, and the sender must have access to one key to be able to read the message. Now, let me actually use this password reference. It means that the same password that was actually used to actually encrypt the original text will be the same password that will be used to actually decrypt the ciphertext into a readable format. So the boyfriend must actually have the key. The girlfriend must also have the key. So the girlfriend will use the key, the same key, one key, to actually make the message unreadable or to encrypt it, and then will send it over to the boyfriend. The boyfriend will actually use the same key to try and decrypt it. So encryption and decryption must be done by the same key. So in symmetric data encryption, one key is actually used to encrypt and decrypt a message. So you can actually see with the diagram we have here, the original text is, let's say, the plain text. Now, this plain text will go through encryption with this one key into a ciphertext. So when I receive the ciphertext, which is the gibberish format, I will use that same key to try and decrypt this message into the original piece. All right, so that's about symmetric data encryption. One thing you have to know or remember is that one key is actually used for the encryption and also for the decryption of that particular information. So the only difference will be with the encryption, it will be the plain text, but with the decryption, it will be the ciphertext or the gibberish type of format. All right, so that is symmetric data encryption. On the other hand, we have asymmetric data encryption. Asymmetric is also called the public key cryptography. Now, this type of encryption actually uses two sets of key or two pairs of key. These keys are actually called the public and the private key. Now, these keys are actually linked together. These two keys are actually mathematically, they are linked together. Now, one key is actually used to encrypt the message, and the other pair is actually used to decrypt the message. So when you are using asymmetric data encryption, two keys must be generated. The keys are, let's say, like the password. So two keys might or should be generated. So the two keys are public, private. Now you will keep one to yourself and you give one out. Mostly that is what people do. So the public is what is known to people. The private is what you have. So we share one out. So let's assume that with the message that the girlfriend was trying to send over, maybe the girlfriend is using two keys. The boyfriend has one, which is the public key, and she herself has the other one, which is the private key. Well, that is what is private to her. Now, maybe every time they communicate or every time they try to, talk to each other, they do it over, encryption, right? Because they don't want anybody else to read their messages, probably. So, the girl will actually encrypt the message with one key, which is the private key, and will send just the message, only the message, to the guy. Now, the guy having the other pair of key will use the key, open the message, and read it. So the one key is actually used for encryption. The other key is actually used to decrypt the message. So that is asymmetric data encryption, also known as the public and private key cryptography. So cryptography is a broader term which encryption actually falls into play, because there are different types, of things that can be actually done under cryptography. All right, so encryption here in asymmetric is done with two keys. All right, so that is what you should know. So the first one that we learned is symmetric, done with one key, and we have asymmetric, that is actually done with two keys. Now, this is an example. So now, Bob, the sender, is trying to send a message to Bob. All right, now, the sender with the plain text, this is the plain text, right, uses one key. After using the key, he will send this encryption text. Now, the receiver is Bob. Now, here, Bob is receiving the message, right? Bob actually has two keys, that the private key and the public key. A lot of people know Bob's private key. Maybe Bob had actually posted this private key on his website, a blog. Bob owns a blog. Okay, so the sender is maybe a fan or a contributor who want to actually send a message to Bob. Now, the sender actually uses Bob's public key to actually, send Bob a message. Now, when Bob actually receives it, since there are two pairs, Bob also have another pair. Bob will use the other pair to read the message. So Bob will use the other pair to try and decrypt the message, and Bob will actually receive here. Now, on the other side here, the sender has two keys rather. Right, the sender has two keys. The sender is actually sending a message to Bob. Now, the sender actually has given Bob his or her key, public key. So the sender will use one key, that is a private key, to encrypt the message. Right, the messenger or the sender will send this message to Bob. Now, Bob having the other type, that is the public. So here, Bob is actually using the public to read the message. So Bob having the public key now tries and read the message. Now, why do we actually do this? Encryption actually wants to actually maintain these things. Now, confidentiality actually means that unauthorized people will not be able to have access to this kind of information. So if you are only if you be authorized, it means you'll be given the key or you have the key. Simple. So encryption actually prevents, unauthorized people from actually reading or having access to, an information. So that is confidentiality. Then we have data integrity. So here we want to actually ensure that information is not altered. The information that we are being sent or the information there won't be changed. Because if I encrypt an information, it means that that information can't be edited or can't be altered. Right? So unless you have the key. So if mostly I've encrypted a message and I'm sending over to you on a network, it means that that particular message, you will receive it. Because even if an attacker sat inside the middle of the conversation and this particular person wanted to actually read the message, this message is actually encrypted. There's no way you'll be able to read the message unless the attacker probably has a key, but that actually won't be possible. And then there is authentication to actually verify each parties. So if I give you my private key, so I give you a public key and I use a private key, it means that I can actually authenticate that it is me who was able to actually read the message, because I am the only person who have this private key, and to be able to read the message, I must be authenticated. Right now, data, this is also used in some systems where once you try to log into, let's say, an account, right, you have a private key already. So you have a public key. The account will actually create two keys and will give you one. So once you are trying to log into a network or a system, the system will actually open up a window that decrypt this thing or decrypt this message, because the system actually knows that you have one, you have the key. It can be asymmetric or symmetric. The system knows you have the key. So if it's truly you, Thomas, who is actually accessing this website or this system, this network, or maybe this organization, decrypt this message and provide the message. If you are able to decrypt the message because you have the key, the system will allow you to enter. That is also a form of authentication to actually verify that surely it is you who, access this information. Now, we have what is non-repudiation. It's also another key objective of cryptography or of data encryption. Now, mostly non-repudiation is actually attached to, let's say, the asymmetric, because it uses two keys. Now, non-repudiation here means that you can't deny the involvement in the encryption. So, or encryption or decryption. So I have two keys, the public, the private one. Now, I use the private one to actually encrypt a message that is personal, and I'm sending it out to people. I use the private key, and the people out there using the public key to actually read the message. In the future, or when something happens, I can't deny that I wasn't the one who did it, because at the end of the day, I am the one who has this private key, and this private key shouldn't go anywhere. So non-repudiation actually stems from the principle that whenever there's a case or whenever we want to actually find out who did this, we can actually see that it was you, because you have two keys. One is private that you keep there, the other one is public. So we can actually trace it, or we can actually confirm that, something or this message or this communication actually came out of this person, because this person has the key to be able to have access. You understand? So if let's say in an organization you have this sensitive information which is encrypted, this sensitive information is encrypted. Only the boss has the key to read it, right? So when something happens to the file, we realize that maybe a few things have been deleted. It actually means that only the boss has the key. So in all circumstances, it is you who we can actually trace it to, because nobody else has this key to actually have access to this information. So non-repudiation actually stems from that, right? So we can actually find out or make formal investigations and things. So as these are the key objectives of data encryption. Now, these are just a comparison between asymmetric and symmetric. That's the two types. So the symmetric that we know uses only one key, so uses a single share key. The asymmetric, on the other hand, uses two pair of keys. Now, what we have for asymmetric that we don't have for symmetric is better key distribution. It actually means that it is easier to send the key out there. It is easier to share the key, because with asymmetric, you are using two. You keep one, you give one out. Now, it is easier to give one out because one key is used. If I encrypt a message, the other key, the other pair of key, will be used to read it. But with the symmetric, it is only one key that will be used to read, and that will be used to encrypt. So decrypting and encrypting only all uses one key, but with the asymmetric, it uses two keys. So it is actually easier to share or to distribute the key out there. And the scalability also attaches or buttresses this point. Now, asymmetric is scalable in the sense that a lot of people can actually jump on it. What if you're actually sharing this key to a large group of people? What is the probability that that particular data, the information will be compromised? So with the symmetric, you are sending, let's say, an encrypted message to 1,000 people, or work at 1,000. It means that you have to actually share the key with 1,000 people, because it's the same key that was used to encrypt it. That same key will be used to decrypt it, right? So the 1,000 people must have the key to be able to read the message. Now, this is not actually scalable. There's a probability that this particular key will fall into the wrong hands or won't be actually handled properly. You understand? And at the end of the day, who will you blame? Because everyone has the key. Who gave it out, or who actually made the hackers have access to that? Because at the end, you sent it to everyone. So you can't actually pinpoint this person, that person, right? Now, on the other hand, asymmetric is scalable because you only keep one key, you encrypt the message, you give the other set, other pair out. So you just need to send only the other pair out. So every time you encrypt the message, the other pair is actually sent out. The other pair can actually be given to anyone, because it's shared, it's public. People can actually have it, even though it's not actually supposed to be in the hands of, let's say, bad people. But if you are sending it to thousands of people, it means that all they need is just that set of key, instead of just one key for encryption and decryption. Now, if you actually send the key out there, if let's say you are sending an encrypted message to lots of people, now maybe you have communications with all of them. Probably you would want to, let's say, create a different set of keys for each person, meaning that each person will have a unique key. So if something happens, we can actually trace it to this particular person, that this person allowed this key to fall into the wrong hands, or something like that, right? So that is something that the two can actually differentiate. Now, symmetric is actually faster. Why? Because it is the same key that is used for encryption and decryption. But symmetric uses two keys. So one key will encrypt the message, and the other key will decrypt it. Now, the system or the machine that was used to actually encrypt it will have to find time to actually verify if the two keys are actually linked, right? So it will take time as compared to the symmetric, which is, faster, just one key, you put it in, because it knows this is what you use. It will actually, decrypt the message faster for you. Now, symmetric is actually used for bulk encryption. So let's say large groups of data, just sensitive information, when we actually watch movies or when you follow politics, sensitive information, confidential information, the CIA, the FBI's, the government, these are the ways in which, they encrypt a message. So they make sure that they put these files, in a way that nobody else can actually read it. And they actually use, because it's just one. So let's say the president will only have the key, or the director will have the key because it's sensitive. You don't want the public to actually have access. So even if it leaks, or even if people are able to, have access to it, they have to now decrypt it to read the message. You see, so that is what is used for symmetric, for bulk encryption. Now, asymmetric is mostly used for small blocks of data over a network, data that we are sending over. So when you actually you pay attention to your WhatsApp, there's encryption. Like nobody else can read your message. Whatever you send to somebody, there's an encryption, end-to-end encryption. Your WhatsApp calls, whatever you say, it's encrypted. So all these things, small blocks of data, what you send over a network. So if you visit a website, you send something over, the data that is shared over your network. So you give your password. All these things are actually, encrypted. You see, so that's one thing that we have. So we have digital signatures, digital certificates. All these things are also use asymmetric. Now, symmetric actually uses confidentiality and integrity only, because they don't want anybody to view it. So confidentiality, they don't want unauthorized people to view it. And integrity actually maintains the data in its raw form, or in its format that it was encrypted. I mean, they can't be altered. But authentication is difficult for symmetric because it only uses one key. How will you verify who did this or who did that? Because just one key, everybody else can have the key. With asymmetric, two people, two keys. So if you have the other key, you can actually verify, and a non-repudiation, that you can't actually deny any involvement with, these kind of things. Now, let's look at the last thing that's, we'll bring this session to a close, which is hash functions. Now, hash functions, it's like I think I had this application on my computer that is actually used for hashing, right? So let me actually see if I can actually find it. Then I'll actually demonstrate how it works, how hashing actually works, if I still have it here. Okay, so I'm finding hard time to actually locate this type of hashing. Now, this hashing application. Now, hashing actually changes or converts your text into a format. So let's say you have a document there, and then you hash the document. When you hash the document, it actually means that you actually converted this document into a string of code or a string of numbers. So you have my name is Thomas. That information is hashed. Now, when it's hashed, it actually produces this string of characters, right? Now, when um I actually change my name is Thomas to my name is Kwame, that's and you hash it, the code will change, the string of code will change. So every time there's a new something, a new text added to it, even if it is a comma or a dot, this text will actually change. This hash digest will change. So you can see here with the example Fox. When we hash Fox, we see this string of code. But when we had the red fox jumps over the blue, a different codes appear. Now, looking at the third example, only the V here has been changed to U. And you can actually see that it still produces a different set of code. Now, if the fourth one, this U has been changed to EV, a different code appears. The red fox. So every time there's a minor change, a different digest appears. Now, why do people actually need hash functions? Actually maintain the integrity of an information or the integrity of data. So it means that I have my documents prepared. My name is Thomas, and I've hashed it to give you a code. And I send you out with this hash value that when you receive the file, try and hash it to see if you hash it and let me know what you will get. Right now, this hashing, I'll use it to actually verify that the message that I sent you, my name is Thomas, hasn't changed, hasn't been altered. So to maintain the integrity of information here, because if something was changed in the document, or even if something has been added, it can be a string of code that can be added in the background, or a virus has been added, there's no way you get the same set of code. So an example here is from my website, that the website is trying to say that this is the file you want to download from our website, or this is the file that we give out, Tails 1.6 ISO image. Now, this is 942 megabytes or 988 megabytes, right? This is a file. Now, this particular website has actually hashed this file and produced this type of code. That's when you download this file, try and hash it to see if you downloaded the original file. Now, they have given you the type of system they use to hash it. So the system is SHA-256. So there are different types of system. We have MD5, SHA-1. All these things are different types. Now they are telling you that we use this type SHA-256 to verify or to hash this ISO image. So when you download the ISO image, you too hash it and see if you generate the same strings of code. If you do generate this string of code, it means that you got the correct file, or you got the correct download. So this download is probably free from virus or any additions, or something like that. So that is hashing. Now, hashing isn't an encryption method. Hashing is mostly used with encryption, to actually see if that particular file, has not been altered. Or hashing is also cryptography, but hashing is not data encryption, because people believe that encryption must be decrypted, or let's say hashing is only one way encryption. So you can only see this one, but you can't use this one to get the ISO image. It won't be possible, because you can't use this string of code, to convert it back to an ISO image. All you have to do is just input it in the system to actually see if it's legit, if it's the same code that the original creators, used or have. So that is hashing. And that is the end of today's threat intelligence seminar. Any questions before we bring this seminar to a close? Yeah. So if there are no questions about data encryption and hashing, I'll end this session here. And I'd like to also remind you guys that threat intelligence seminar that we are doing, this seminar is organized by South Africa group of companies. And if you want to learn more about cybersecurity, we offer cybersecurity services and cybersecurity training. If you want to learn more about cybersecurity, just hit us up and we will actually talk with you the terms and the structure in which you learn this course. So this is a comprehensive full 6 months. You know, you'll be prepared, you take your time, take this course, and this course is also online. So yes, you don't have to be there. It's actually done online. So as long as you are interested, just talk to us. We will actually, respond, and we'll have a conversation about how to actually have access to this course. You can also visit our website to get to learn more, portal.softafric.net, or you can actually interact with our social media platforms to actually get more knowledge about this cybersecurity. We also have other services that we also offer: website development, bulk messaging. We have IP Horizon TV. We have different types of services that you can actually, come to us, and we will actually help you. It's your IT solutions or IT problem. If you need computer sets, if you need antiviruses for your home, for your schools, everything that you need with regards to cybersecurity, IT services, I think South Africa will actually provide. And not to forget, we also do home delivery. Home delivery, if you want to actually ship things from the United States to Ghana, we have home delivery services that you can also reach out to us, and then we can also help you bring your goods from the States to Ghana. December is coming. Maybe you would want to actually gift out things, or you want to actually bring things out to your family members here in Ghana. We can actually help you with those things or with that. Just hit us up, go to our website, or interact with us on social media, and then we'll talk to you. Our payment structure is also flexible because we think about you and we want you, the customer, is our priority. So at the end of the day, you make it in a way that you don't actually suffer. You are able to pay, this month of money, or for our services. So yes, thank you guys for joining us here. And then I would like to also end by saying that next week, same time, 4 p.m., we will have another threat intelligence seminar. So every Wednesday, we are here to educate ourselves on cybersecurity and other topics. So